Bienvenidos a El Martínez, un podcast bar de edición ilimitada, destilado en colaboración por Rainbow Lobster y macerado en las barricas de elmartinez.net, en Facebook e Instagram como El Martínez Podcast y Taninos de Spotify, afrutados de Apple o donde lo estés escuchando en este momento. El Martínez, una experiencia extrasensorial de Meo Deus.
Hi everyone, this is an episode in English, but the first intro is in Spanish. So if you wanna go and hear just the English part, go to the beginning of the episode. Para el resto que hablamos español, ahí les va lo que sucedió esta noche y quién nos vino a visitar en una noche bastante de Cannes Lion.
Hoy es fundadora de Fala, City Shapers y cofundadora de Invisible Creatives. Después de liderar durante 8 años la estrategia de marca del Festival de Creatividad Cannes Lions, es fundadora de la iniciativa See It Be It y del lanzamiento del premio de Glass Lion, The Lion for Change.
Esa noche platicamos sobre sus años detrás en el backstage de Cannes Lions y el behind the scenes y la gente que le tocó conocer. Otra anécdota.
Yeah, there's a lot of them going through my mind that I'm like, this is not really an anecdote, but I just have first thing that pops in my mind, which is about, I used to spend a lot of time backstage and met a lot of the speakers and stuff like that. It's incredible how the experience of meeting those people, how different it can be. And I met Sir Ken Robinson. What really struck me is that he was so curious. And he asked me everything about where I was from, what my parents were, my accent was from, where I grew up. But so beautiful. He was about to go on stage, give a big seminar, and he really had curiosity about.
Seguimos hablando de cómo el festival se ha ido reinventando en el tiempo y cómo en un momento importante ella fue una de las precursoras de empezar a hacer que el festival fuera cada vez más inclusivo con iniciativas como See It Be It, que le dio y le ha dado un espacio importantísimo a las mujeres de la industria.
It's a program for female creative leaders to essentially boost your career. So what we found when I was still working at Cannes Lions, what we found was there's plenty of young female creative talent in universities and when they first start entering the advertising industry, but they drop off at a certain point. My idea was, let's bring a bunch of very talented female creative directors from all over the world to Cannes and give them an experience that no one else gets to have. And on top of that, we're going to pay for everything.
Hablamos también de su papel como curadora, como una mujer que ha siempre buscado reunir gente talentosa en un mismo lugar para hacer proyectos que, vengan a hacer una diferencia en el mercado.
Yes, you're so right. I mean, the Mesa experience is a deep dive into diversity, really, because you get people around the table that really have the knowledge you need. And, we've worked with indigenous people who live in the Amazon to create the solution we needed for that we did for Google. But it's people who really are the people who are affected and who know this stuff. Pull that through for advertising industry, we don't work like that. We often don't work like that, and it's a really something we can learn from that. And
hablamos también de City Shapers Londres, que fue un libro que hizo donde encontró a las personas creativas que le daban forma a la cultura de su ciudad.
The people in London who are changing the culture of the city. I wanted to then try and bring those people to help brands change culture as well. Brands are always want to make a stamp on culture and try and do that through campaigns or activations or whatever. But I wanted to bring people, like I said, who've actually done that in a real way. In this case, in London, in things that have really shaped the city of London, and help them connect with brands wanting to have equal sort of legacy on culture.
Bueno, y terminamos hablando de algo importante para muchas de las que oigan este episodio, Y es que está abierta ahorita la convocatoria de Seed Beat para Cannes y creo que es una oportunidad buenísima para gente de Latinoamérica y mujeres que quieran darse un rato en Cannes yendo a sesiones de jurado, a ver otras mujeres de otras partes del mundo, en fin, vale un montón la pena.
I think the program is something very special because it's not simply a course, you know. The time that you spend with the other women in the festival is so meaningful because a lot of these women have not really met many other female creative directors because there just aren't that many, you know, depending on what world you're from, but it's rare for them to be able to spend a whole week with somebody, with their peer from a different part of the world and talk about how they have the same issues and the same dreams and ambitions and stumbling blocks and all that. I'm very encouraged at what has happened. And even if some companies or people are doing certain things because it's trendy or because they need to, at least it's happening.
No se diga más que nos está recibiendo hoy una embajadora de Cannes Lions y una mujer que ha hecho muchísimo por esta industria. Saquen todos ese rosé para recibirla, porque ella es Senta Slingerland.
Hi, Senta. How are you?
I'm good. I'm great. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I mean, I'm not as cold as you are now, which is it's always good. But I want to invite you to have a better setup for this. That is, let's go to Cannes and have a drink. It's always better at the Martínez.
Great. Let's do it.
Does that make sense for you?
Makes a lot of sense, and it's a place that I'm sure both of us have been many times.
Totally. All right. Let's go then. Let's go.
Bienvenidos a El Martínez. ¿Qué le servimos para empezar?
Okay, here we are, Senta. What are you going to have for a drinking?
I always have the same. I always have a rosé.
A rosé, okay. Excusez-moi, oui. Yeah. Rosé, s'il vous plaît. Le bottle the big one. This. Yeah. All right. We're gonna have that. It's always good, to have a bottle because then you start asking, you know how it is. And
yeah, but then if you have a Magnum, everyone comes to you and asks you for...
Exactly. So,
Let's get a modest bottle.
How many Magnums have you ever asked here?
Oh, probably none. I kind of avoid them.
No.
I have been guilty of sharing some other people's Magnums before. No.
Oh, nice. Okay. So, Senta, tell me... When you think, we are here at Martínez, you already have sandals, which is good because we are always in an eternal summer. But when you think, because of course Cannes for you is already in the past, but what comes to your mind when I think about memories in this place?
A lot of memories, but I love going to Cannes still, and it's very relevant to what I do today. But I see it as sort of a place where I run into colleagues from my entire life, It's kind of a summer camp where you see the same people every year, like you used to do in your childhood if you went back to the same place every summer and you saw the same people, and it's almost like no time has ever gone past, So I really like it for that. And people that were part of my life in different moments of my life.
Right. No, and of course, when you say still very relevant for you, no, is that because like doing Invisible Creators or Seed Beat has been, I'm sure, opportunity to really make a change in the industry, I think that I've used to go to Cannes when I started going when at the 99, so it was like I was like a 2-year-old boy. But I've seen how the industry has changed, and it's kind of interesting. Like people like you made for the industry in terms of how it needed to be changing, no?
Yeah, well, thanks you for saying that. I actually have it's not a Martínez, it's a Carlton anecdote, but I hope you allow me to.
Absolutely. I love anecdotes.
I just, because you reminded me of it, I think this was 2015 and I was on the terrace of the Carlton, and I was still working at Cannes Lions at the time as the director of brand strategy, and I had worked a lot to try and get more equity in the jury rooms.
Okay.
It wasn't 50-50 back then, it is now, but it wasn't then, but it was maybe like 35-65, something like that. And it was a number that at that time we were pretty proud of. And a male, very senior executive from the ad world, who will remain unnamed at this moment, but he came to me and said, hey, are you Senta that works for Cannes? And I know that you've worked hard at this, and he said, the other award shows, they choose people for the jury on merit, not on gender. What do you think about that? And of course, I tried to tell him that merit is a very complex concept, and that it has to do with advocacy and mentorship, and those are concepts that are not equal for both genders or any gender. Anyway, and that it's all very complex, and if you don't get sent to Cannes, then you don't get seen, and if you don't get seen, you don't get picked for juries, and you don't get the best work, and it's a whole vicious cycle that we were trying to break. And I don't think he really understood what I meant, but then he said to me, if you were invited to speak at a conference just because you're a woman, would you accept? And I said, I don't care how I get there, of course I'll accept. I'll take my space and I'll say whatever I have to say, And then I said to him, do you not understand that you are also in the role you are today because you're a man, because of your gender?
Interesting.
And he really didn't understand that, at all. But it kind of was a moment where I realized that what we were doing, we had launched See It Be It the year before, was still so necessary. Take quite a few years before people really understood. And I think we're still in that process now.
Right.
Why it's important,
Yeah, no, I agree, because, but it's amazing how the change in the industry, right? Like, 20 years is a lot. When I think about See It Be It or any other platform that really looks for gender equality, maybe we're talking about 5 years ago, no, or something like that. I mean, like really committed to it, no. But it's true what you're saying, that still we're still in a moment that we are in an early stage for it, right? We're still fighting for people to really get to understand what the problem is, right?
Exactly, and I think there's some processes that these things go through, and the first is even putting language to it.
Right.
If you think about like the Me Too movement, for example, it put language on something that we all kind of knew existed, that maybe we've all been through, but a very simple hashtag word like Me Too kind of made it, I don't know, it's almost like it gave it language for you to much more easily share an experience that you've had.
Right.
And so I think, before you have language for something, it doesn't exist. That's why it's interesting to like you do as well. You speak different languages, right? And then you realize that in different languages, you sometimes have different personalities, because in some languages, some words just don't exist. So it's almost like you can't feel them,
right? Because
the word is different. So it's a little bit the same. The same with this. It's putting language to something fast. Then it's explaining it. It's putting in this industry, especially putting a business case behind something.
Right.
And but yeah, it's true that since Cannes Lions, or me at Cannes Lions, launched See It Be It, for example, and then the Glass Lion the year after that, a lot has changed. And so now when I when I go into meetings or festivals or whatever it is, there is a whole bunch of stuff I don't even have to explain anymore. I can
Right.
I can start from the middle. But then there's still a culture. There's been 10 years of this language, but there's been 200 years of another kind of language, right? So,
Right.
so there is work to be done. But I'm very encouraged at what has happened. And even if some companies or people are doing certain things because it's trendy or because they need to, at least it's happening.
Right. No, totally. Wait a second. Yeah. Okay. So we have the bottle here. Let's just. I would like to propose a toast for for all the
I love
changes that make us better. Cheers.
Cheers.
Senta.
Hello.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Like when you see that you still coming here to Cannes every year, but because now you're in other part of the table, no?
Right.
Talk me a little bit about Mesa. How is that developing?
Talking about table, yeah. So I guess now that I left Cannes already about 8 years ago, but now I have, more what you call like a portfolio career. I have different hats, and one of the things I do is I'm a leader at large at Mesa, which is Portuguese for table or Spanish for table, just in Mesa.
Yeah.
It's a company that was born in Brazil, but now is really all over the globe. And I joined them in 2016, and they've completely exploded. And they're now globally, and I'm proud to still be sort of a freelancer for them. So they have a core team, but then they have about 60 people around the world that they call leaders at large that hop in and out of projects as they go. So it's going well. I think it's I'm 100% sure that it's the job, the project that has been most challenging in my life.
Oh,
that I've learned the most from.
Why is that?
Every time I do a Mesa, which is essentially a Mesa is a 5-day project where we solve and prototype a problem for a client.
Right.
A problem for which there aren't any benchmarks. Okay, we try and find a solution for which there aren't any benchmarks or off-the-shelf solutions in the world. And we do that by sitting people around the table that have all the knowledge and skills that the prototype, that's a solution needs. So for a week, you're locked up in a room with the problem owner of the client company, the people, the person who has the decision-making power to make a solution happen. And then people from the market that have all the knowledge and skills you need. So you can be working with a chef from the Amazon, you can be working with an AR specialist from Taiwan, you can be working with, anyone in the world that we need to solve. So every time you need, it's a different problem you're solving. So you need different language, different skill sets, different, your brain is working overtime. And it's the wonderful thing about it is that, but for the client, the wonderful thing about it is that a solution is made in 5 days, and it's not an experiment. It's not something where we just kind of say, "Yeah, let's have a brainstorm, see how it goes." We're actually solving the problem.
Right.
We over the last 10 or 12 years, Mesa I think has done 300 of these projects.
Uh-huh.
We recently we figured out that in 96% of the case, the solution is implemented by the client between 6 and 12 months after. So it really happens.
Oh, wow.
It's not something you can exercise to sort of exercise your brain a little bit. It's something that actually, so you say
actually execute it. You actually go and actually do it, no?
Exactly. So at the end of the 5 days, you have the prototype ready, and then you're ready to implement it. But all the decisions made and all the information you need. So for me personally, what's so challenging is that every time it's a completely different topic.
Right.
And you're in the room with some of the smartest people you've ever been in a room. So you better bring your A game, And when you do a Mesa afterwards, you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can ever do that again. And a few weeks later, you do another one. And these days I do them much more, less often, but they are incredible learning experiences.
El Martínez es el Martínez. Sí, él. Hola, Martínez. ¿Por qué no?
If I go to what you've been floating in your, I mean, talking of course in a professional standpoint, but you've been always in touch with diversity, if you want to name it, like diversity of disciplines, and I really believe that nowadays when we talk about communication and building a brand and a strategy, etc., it's all about really collaborating and making people that are diverse enough to come actually to a table to say something and to really, like build something stronger, right? Like if I think, I mean, I just can't imagine like what it has been like working in Can Lion, but also you were the Real, and now you have Fala, which is like really putting that everything together, right?
Yes, you're so right. I mean, the Mesa experience is a deep dive into diversity, really, because you get the people around the table that really have the knowledge you need. And we've worked with indigenous people who live in the Amazon to create the solution we needed for it. Was that we did for Google. But it's people who really are the people who are affected and who know this stuff. And if you pull that through for like the advertising industry, we don't work like that, or we often don't work like that. And it's a really something we can learn from that. And Fala was the company I co-founded with my business partner Allison, was born from this idea of how you always have this, everyone has this friend that sort of always inspires you and guides you to be better, who always recommends an article you should be reading, when you call the evening before you have to do the presentation and you want to get some insights, who tells you the documentary you need to watch, and
Right.
And we sort of wanted to professionalize that trend for businesses. So we inspire companies with editorial products, with educational programs, etc. So then in turn, they can inspire their audiences. So on that side, we help them with their thought leadership, help them figure out what they should be talking about publicly, and so on. So the company really does the input and the output sort of thing of purposeful inspiration, as we call it. And for that, we also...
Purposeful inspiration, purposeful. My English sometimes when I get rosé, get a little bit dirty.
You can speak the language that's best. Actually, often in Canada, it works the opposite. People start being very fluent all of a sudden in all sorts.
Oh yeah, that's true. Not my case, but by what I'm seeing. No, but when I think, I like that phrase, right? Like purposeful inspiration, and it's what is really driving. Well, most of the creatively the brand nowadays, right? It's like being on the spot, I think. If you talk about that, like,
do you mean
like it's a concept that really, like, being inspired by something that has a purpose, and as a brand or even as a person, just look for it. Like nowadays, I think that makes a lot of sense, my point of view.
The thing is that there's so much out there these days. There's so many ways to get your information. There's so many things you might need to have an opinion on or read up on that. It can be very hard for individuals, but for companies as well, to sort of know which direction to look in. And on top of that, there is a tendency to get very caught up in your bubble, and to not kind of look, for example, we talked about diversity, we might have an impression that a lot has changed in the world because of the bubble we see it through and the campaigns we see and everything. But then when you take a slightly more macro view, you see that, maybe nothing has changed in many countries or many sectors or whatever. So we kind of try and help companies have that slightly more outside perspective. And always topical and always customized to their particular needs or the needs of their clients. But it's true that these days there's a lot of pressure on brands to have like you said, be on the spot and to have opinions about all the things that are happening in the world. There's a great example that just came out, that just happened, where the CEO of Web Summit, that the conference that happens in Lisbon every year, made some comments on the situation in Gaza and in Israel, and it's completely backfired. And it's
what did he say?
He made some pro-Gaza comments, which that lots of his investors and clients who are from Israel or Israel supporters, weren't very pleased with that and are now pulling out of the event and everything. It's just an example to show how the pressure on brands to get their strategies right, to get their point of view right, to really know what they stand for. And obviously, I'm essentially by trade a brand strategist, so it's something that I do help brands with as well. But it's a complex matter.
It is a complex matter, but when we think about like really getting out of the bubble, that's where, I know that Cannes Lions in a way is about business, setting the benchmark, everybody like understanding where the good work is, but I think that I'm not interested like into that phenomenon, but asking you as someone that has always been like really looking for what is happening in the world in terms of creativity, no? Because like I think that the industry needs that a lot, and I kind of understand that if I am a marketing person or a creative, we'll need to have someone that actually give me some perspective. Let's put it that way, right? That's a little what I think that you do, for instance, with city shapers, right? That is like really bringing creative people to shaping the cities, no, and have a minimal impact in culture. It's because you have the possibility to actually get to know those people that are all over, right?
I lost you in the last sentence. The computer went a little bit funny. But what was your last?
I don't know. No. What I was saying is that when I think about city shapers, is because you have the possibility to actually getting out of the bubble and finding those people that are really coming together, no?
Yes, and as people working in advertising, we like to think that we do incredible things, that we change the world. But, I'm always interested to look at people who are sort of actually doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
and helping them not only inspire us working in the industry, but maybe help and collaborate. And I think that, that's what I meant earlier when I said, the advertising industry is not always good at using the people actually going through certain things, or have actually achieved certain things, or know about certain things. But part of my aim is to encourage the ad industry to work with those people that have actually done stuff. And I think Mesas is a perfect example of a company that does that well, where they put brands together with people who actually have done this stuff before. Who don't work in marketing necessarily or whatever, but who have proven themselves to have solved a particular problem. And City Shapers is a book I read about the people changing the culture of our cities, London in this case. And yes, it was me looking at people who've actually done sort of creative projects or creative things or built creative solutions that are shaping the culture of the city. And it's not campaigns or whatever, but it's actual experiences, product, places.
Wait a second, because because I have people here in the tables, how Martínez is, people is drinking and whatever, and they're trying to ask, like, what is City Shapers anyway? They hear about culture and shaping, but what is it if we have to put it in a log line?
Right. So it started from this book I wrote about the people in London who are changing the culture of the city. And I wanted to then try and bring those people to help brands change culture as well. Brands are always want to make a stamp on culture and try and do that through campaigns or activations or whatever. But I wanted to bring people, like I said, who've actually done that in a real way. In this case, in London, in things that have reshaped the city of London, and help them connect with brands wanting to have equal sort of legacy on culture.
Esto es El Martínez.
How did you find them? Like, how did you start all that journey? Because, I mean, one thing is, you know what, it will be good to write a book about people who's changing the culture of my city. And the other thing is actually going and talk to them and find them and, no?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Mesa, again, has taught me to, has, I guess, made me a very good curator, because often when you need somebody, for example, you want somebody to speak at a conference or so forth, it's very easy to just say, oh, I know somebody who wrote an amazing book on that subject. But it's much more interesting to get the person who's actually worked in that and who's changed something,
right,
and who's touched something, So, it was a very, very fun project doing that with City Shapers and speaking to lots of different people. And I wanted to make sure that I touched lots of different pillars. So I wanted to make sure that I talked about art, and I talked about retail, and I talked about diversity and lots of different things. So that's sort of how I started. What are the subjects that I need to touch, and then find the people that I feel have had the most impact and the most interesting story. And again, when I work with Farah, for example, and we put together, let's say, a day for a client to talk about, I don't know what it might be, something about business transformation, and get a bunch of speakers together and build a day for a client about that subject. The same way, it's never we never sort of go through our Rolodex and see, okay, who have we got that could be good. We always think, who would be ideal? Who has done something that's been incredible in terms of business transformation, and get those people. We kind of never start from sort of, our book of friends, which is why I created a great network, because I always go out to people I don't necessarily know, because people always say, oh, how do you know all these people? And I'm like, I don't. I just contact them. It's actually incredible when you try and speak to people about putting them on a mesa, or involving them in something I'm doing with Farah, or putting them in a book I'm writing, or whatever. 9 out of 10 times, people are very, excited to help and say yes. But people have to try.
Nice. But I think that it comes out of being curious, right? Being like when I hear you, it's like being a curator. In a way, it has to do with actually handpicking personalities, stories, but I think it has to do with curiosity. Like, there are people that are really just doing their thing, and people like you that are really like seeing the world outside and saying, hey, what's going on there and there.
Yeah, I think you're right. I hadn't actually thought about it that way, but I think you're right. And I think it's also about finding voices that will not just inspire you because of what they have to say, but how they say it and how they lead their lives. And people that have sort of ambitions that are a little bit different or beyond of what we know traditionally ambition means. But yeah, I like this point of view you have about it being about curiosity. And I guess everything I do is around that in the first place. Like if a client that comes to me for something, if they're not curious, it's not going to work.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, I just say that because when I sit down in here, by the way, cheers again with this beautiful rosé. I always, like, one of the things that I like the most is like really to understand what the passions that really drives you to go to some places, no? In your case is actually finding, and that's why I think that curiosity in a way inspires, because when you think about like after working 8 years at Lion Festival, I just can't imagine the amount of people and point of view and ideas that you actually had in your life. But before going there, like, what is one of the stories in City Shapers that one of those people that you sell, like, this anecdote, or that gave you, after all this process of curiosity, put you in a position to get to know someone that is really interesting?
Interesting people. One story, if that's what you mean, like one story that really inspired me from that journey, was a guy here in London who started a cafe where when you go to the cafe, you order a coffee or something.
Okay.
And then you can also pay it forward. So normally what you might do is buy 2 coffees, then go in the street and try and find a homeless person and try and give them a coffee,
Mm-hmm.
But that's sort of that doesn't really humanize that particular person in need.
Okay.
So what he decided, if you go into his coffee shop, you order a coffee, and then you order something else that you might want, another coffee, a sandwich, whatever. And when you order that second coffee, you go to a big blackboard on the wall and you draw that coffee that you bought, or a sandwich, or a bowl of acai, or whatever it might be.
Okay.
As a homeless person who doesn't have the means to go to that cafe to buy something, you go into the coffee shop, you look at the blackboard and you decide what you want. So you'll have the same experience as the initial guest, because you order from a menu, essentially. So you look at the blackboard, you order something, you wipe it out, you go to the till, you get it, and you sit in the cafe and you drink or eat that sandwich with the same dignity as any other guest has.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I find it so inspiring because he didn't just want to solve a problem of how can we help homeless people eat. He wanted to look at the dignity. He wanted to look at the whole sort of customer experience, and even give homeless people a customer experience in the first place. And I thought that is something that was so something so pure that a lot of brands can be inspired by. I mean, there's hundreds of stories.
Of course.
That's one that
but that's beautiful, because that just makes you think how a little change or a twist, in this case of the process of giving, actually can really change, in this case, the whole experience of not only fulfilling the need, but also actually fulfilling the moment for someone, right? Which is
exactly, and changing really how homeless people are seen in the city, and how they are treated. Because I used to frequent that cafe, and basically you're sitting next to you don't know who we're sitting next to, but everyone is the same. Everyone's drinking their coffee.
Yeah.
I think it was a very and this guy was, I think, 22 years old when he started this cafe.
Oh, really?
And he had an economic background. It wasn't a marketing or design, entrepreneurial background. He was an economics major.
No, well, but that's the beauty of ideas that can come from any place. But okay, now I want to change now here to actually Cannes, and I want because how many years did you came here to Cannes? Because you have you you lost your count?
I did. I did. I think the first time was 2004.
Okay.
So it's about 20 years.
Wow.
2 years of COVID that we didn't go, I guess.
And I just can't imagine the anecdotes that you have had in those years.
Don't make me.
Come on, give me one that is editorial that we can put here. But no, of course, there are for me too. I started. Of course, I'm younger than you, so I started coming when I was at 99, and I've seen how it has changed and everything. But the amount of stories, and I just can't imagine in your position that you have lived now.
Yeah, there's a lot of them going through my mind that I'm like,
not that one.
No, not that one. Yeah, not that one. This is not really an anecdote, but I just have this. One of the first things that popped in my mind which is about, I used to spend a lot of time backstage and met a lot of the speakers and stuff like that.
Of course.
And it's incredible, actually, how the experience of meeting those people, how different it can be. And I met Sir Ken Robinson. I'm not sure I remember. And what really struck me is that he was so curious. And he asked me everything about where I was from, what my parents, or my accent was from, where I grew up with, and I thought that was so beautiful. He was about to go on stage, give a big seminar, and he really had curiosity about me. I was young at the time. I think I don't even know if I was how many years I'd been there, but definitely young and inexperienced. And he asked me so many questions and was very interested. And I didn't meet him personally, but one year we had Bill Clinton, and a lot of my colleagues met him.
Oh, wow.
And it was similar. Everyone was talking about it backstage. It was a similar situation, how everyone that he came across, from somebody giving him a glass of water or, putting his microphone on, he was asking about where they were from, what kind of background they had, and then remembered, if he would then run into that person the next day, he would remember the name. Just an incredible ability to remember people and make everyone feel very special in that room. You felt like, I didn't meet him, like I said, but people told me you felt like the only person in that room when you were with him.
No, and actually connecting, no? I think that what you're saying is how easy will be, being Ken Robinson or Clinton, just don't give a damn about people who surround. But at the end, and going back to the curiosity, that I think that is the beautiful word. When you're still eager to really get to know where you live, right? Like in a way that makes sense.
Solo para desconocedores. El Martínez.
For me, that was really the differentiator rather between lots of people. Is like whatever moment in his career he's in, like you said, he's still willing to learn from anyone who comes across. One incredible meeting that I had was with Monica Lewinsky.
Oh yeah?
I spent a lot of time with her at the festival. We had one-on-one time. We had drinks together behind the stage and everything. And it was very interesting to finally meet her, because she was somebody that I grew up with. That whole story. I grew up and had a particular view, probably even of her. So meeting her personally, talking to her, not in great detail, but really, talking to her about sort of her life and stuff. That was really incredible, and that also made me really think about the power of media and the responsibility we have.
What year was that?
2015, I think.
2015, yeah.
When she came out with all her anti-bullying campaigns and so on.
Right. No, because I think when we are talking about diversity, Me Too movement, etc., I think that the Monica Lewinsky, one of the cases that I really think it really put in the table the problem and the all the nuances around it, no?
Yes, absolutely. And she, she was belittled and broken by the system, and dare I say, the patriarchal system, for many, many, many years before she had her, I don't even want to say revenge, but before she had her voice heard. And she met the Seed Beard group that I brought to Cannes that year, and that was a magical meeting. But she was a highlight for me. I remember she sticks out when you ask me about anecdotes.
Yeah, of course.
And there was lots of anecdotes about things not working and all the dramas we have, like things typical festival event stuff that is always keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. When you are getting closer to that day, and then you know that everything's gonna happen in just 2 hours, and then you are
absolutely. People used to ask me, so you work for Cannes, what do you do the rest of the year? And I was like, haha, you have no idea. The saddest day actually for me of the year, sounds sad me now saying that, but was that Sunday, it used to, now it finishes on a Friday, it used to finish on Saturday. And then on Saturday night, Sunday morning, it was like bam, 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 breaking everything down. And it's like, oh my God. Well, that was always a very sort of emotional moment.
You know, the latest Cannes that I went at Cannes Live like 2 years ago, I stayed one more day, and I was walking here through the Croisette, and then I saw an event of Cannes Lion, and I was like, what is this? And I was like, I don't care. I guess I saw people drinking wine, in the evening, and I was like, I'm going in. So I went in, and then it happens to be an event that the festival did for all the collaborators, right?
The staff party. Yeah.
The staff party. And
staff party.
I just went into the staff party, just hiding myself, and I was like, oh yeah, having some wine, and I was hearing some of the pitches, and then I saw the amount of people, right? I was behind it, and those things that sometimes you actually take for granted, and it was kind of a good vibe when like the team was. Everybody was so fulfilled of what they did, and I don't know. It's something that sometimes you don't think about, right?
Yeah, I guess it's the kind of company when you work on something so tangible with a very specific outcome. It really bonds you a lot. It's kind of like when you put on a theater production or something, and it's like,
right.
Or a film production, and it's a route day, and it really bonds you. So I do have very, very good memories of working there, and to be honest, most of my closest friends that I still have today are from
really?
there. So I also learned a lot of stuff there that I still use in my work today. It was the first time that I was on stage giving a talk that I still do now a lot. It was the first opportunity that I got speech training there. Lots of stuff, lots of skills that I use in my day to day. Today was I got there. So I'm grateful for that. Well,
no,
for sure. It made me travel around the world.
Exactly. Not only traveling around the world, but when I think, for example, speaking with Sir Ken Robinson, then you had the opportunity to actually see him speaking, of course, maybe about education and how schools kill creativity. That gives you like, not even like, I'm sure that people that goes to Cannes, me included, we'll go to, I don't know, 15% of the things, right? But when you are in, like the amount of richness that you find in terms of fulfilling, again, the curiosity should be amazing.
Yeah, and I'm grateful now that I get to go as a free mind in a sense now, and I can actually do all the stuff that with full knowledge of how hard it is to put it all on, but I can just enjoy it, and I don't have to think about lighting and those kind of things. But yeah, definitely. And also the contacts you make for life. I guess there is one skill I have. It is to keep contact that I have alive. I like that. I always like catching up with people, keeping contact. It comes easy to me. So I still have a lot of those contacts, from that time.
Nice. So what would you say, Senta, that is where are things taking you further? Like if you think, I don't know, because you are, let's say, by what I see, very entrepreneur person, always looking for things. But is there anything that you see in the future that is going to take you someplace else?
It's a very good question. One that I feel. It's funny you ask me that, because I thought about that a few days ago, and I thought, my God, I'm not spending a lot of time at the moment thinking about this. I had a baby 2 years ago.
Oh, really? Congratulations. That's a beautiful age. 2 years old is amazing.
Yeah, it is. But it's taken actually, it had an interesting effect on my personal life. My professional life. I felt that I became a lot more productive, strangely.
Oh, really?
Yes, because I had much more simplicity of what needs to be done.
Right.
Bala, me and my partner, who also had a baby at the same time, actually. So we're in the same situation. We launched this after we became mothers, and it was with a very specific goals. It's very simple to us, like what this company does and what, and who we want to attract and all that. So, so there's more simplicity in what I want to do, but then I do also sometimes feel that I have lost that sort of thinking 10 years ahead thing, because I'm constantly just, trying to survive the day,
Right.
So there is that. But at the same time, what I want for myself is a life, like a real life. So I really enjoy the work I do with Spam. I don't want to grow this company to be 50 people.
Okay.
We are two founders at the moment, and we use freelancers as and when needed. And I'm very happy with that. I don't want to sell it to WPP at some point. I don't want to,
Right.
I want to keep an open eye and to see what the market needs and see if we can fulfill that. And so that's my ambition for that company.
Cheers for that. Cheers for that. Yeah. Well, you haven't figured it out.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm still working with Cannes Lions on the CFB program, and curate it, help create it, help drive it, help amplify it, and also making it happen in different countries. I just came back from Colombia, where I ran a CFB at LATAM there. So
nice.
Definitely my aim is to with the El Dorado Festival in Colombia.
Oh, you were, El Dorado was like bringing a lot of people from all over the world. It was amazing what they did in terms of, big festival going on, right?
Yes, it's a fantastic festival. I've been going now for 10 years. And so I saw it from, being, it was always impressive, to be honest, but it was obviously smaller when I first started going, and I love watching it grow. And they have, it's smallish, but they have an incredible caliber of speakers and a very international caliber of speakers. And so I always work with them to bring CFB to Colombia as well for the LATAM region. And so I guess
Nice. No, I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you were bringing it to LATAM and so involved in it. Nice.
Yes. It's I think the 6th year already. So and I guess the next step is thinking about how that grows, how that changes, making sure that CFB stays relevant and grows as the industry changes.
Un bar inclausurable. El Martínez.
Just to finish, because I want to go into the anecdotes that you didn't tell me here in the microphone later on, and of course when we stop recording. But that will be later with no recording. No, but tell me a little bit more about CFB, because I see people asking me, sending me WhatsApp like, what are you talking about? Even though it's for see it, not a lot of people see it. So tell me a little bit about it.
Good point. Well, it's a program for female creative leaders or anyone that identifies as such, to essentially boost your career. So what we found when I was still working at Cannes Lions, what we found was there's plenty of young female creative talent in universities, and when they first start entering the advertising industry, but they drop off at a certain point. And it's usually around the point that they are about to become a creative director or have just become a creative director. And you might think, okay, what age is that normally? Okay, that's probably the age at which women have children and babies, and that's why they drop off, But it's definitely not that simple, because we don't see the same drop off in other job roles or in other industries. So we started looking at why that was, and there's lots of different reasons. I like calling it death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's not one particular reason. It's probably 1,000 that altogether make a unsurmountable cut. But we decided, okay, there aren't enough female creative directors.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons also is they're not being groomed to be creative directors. And they're not coming to Cannes. So what Cannes Lions does, and I don't know if you know this, you probably do, but Cannes Lions doesn't pay for anything. Like, they don't pay for their speakers to speak. They don't pay for their judges to fly. You know that.
Yeah.
My idea was, let's bring a bunch of very talented female creative directors from all over the world to Cannes and give them an experience that no one else gets to have. And on top of that, we're going to pay for everything. So that was an interesting conversation to have with the CEO and the CFO at the time.
Wow, I can just imagine that conversation.
Yeah.
Like, okay, now you're going to bring people that are not personalities, famous or anything, and we're going to pay for it.
Exactly. And they're like, can't we just do a lunch or something? Christ. But no, and they understood, they believed, and they paid for everything and still do. And so we brought them to Cannes, and we gave them an experience that no one else gets to have. So we take them in the jury rooms, which no one, even when you work for Cannes, they're not allowed to go in the jury room.
Wow.
Them meet and greets with incredible speakers, give them a mentorship experience. We do this very interesting speed dating experience where they meet different, totally just from the industry for like half an hour at a time and get to talk to them. We give them master classes on negotiation, on leadership. We give them an experience no one else gets to have, essentially. And
totally.
Really the aim is to make these women understand that not only do they belong in the industry, they're the future of the industry. And we want them to go back on Monday after the festival and with renewed energy and with lots of knowledge to share their agency and make them understand that, they're needed there. And they have a lot to, and if they're believed and needed by Cannes, they're needed by the industry. So that's essentially it, and it's free. Obviously, Cannes pays for everything. You have to apply. Applications are open actually right now, and anyone can apply that is of a certain level.
Are you hearing? No, taking notes. Everybody's taking their phones now and tapping it.
Share it with your podcast with that link. And yeah, if you're chosen, you get to go to Cannes. Now the thing is, obviously, this is for 15 women every year.
Yeah.
We do want to amplify that. So we do have events throughout the year in different territories.
So are there like a quota for every region in the world? Like when you say you're going deeper into Latin America, are there X amount of places for people in Latin America, or how does that work?
Not really. The CEDB program in Cannes is global. So we want to make sure that we have representation from US, from Latam, from Africa, from Asia. But then we have the Latam version, which is in collaboration with El Dorado, which is 12 places and just women from Latam.
Oh, okay, got you. So that's actually in El Dorado. Got you.
That's actually, but there have been women that have been part of the El Dorado version, then maybe 2 years later have applied for the Cannes version, and also there.
I have had in this same table, like Daniela Varela. She was one of the CB, and when you hear her experience on that, it was actually life changing. Like just for you to know, it's good. I mean, not many times you have that possibility, but I have to tell you, Senta, I've heard that like many women that have had in that program, and it has really opened their mind, and it's really something important.
Yeah, I think the program is something very special because it's not simply a course,
Mm-hmm.
The time that you spend with the other women in the festival is so meaningful, because a lot of these women have not really met many other female creative directors because there just aren't that many, depending on what world you're from. But it's rare for them to be able to spend a whole week with somebody, with their peer from a different part of the world, and talk about how they have the same issues and the same dreams and ambitions and stumbling blocks and all that. So often they say, it was incredible meeting all these incredible mentors and speakers, but actually the most incredible part was meeting each other. And I have WhatsApp groups dating back from be it 2014.
Wow.
That are still active, and I'm in all different groups.
Wow.
And they'll say, help me with this thing, my boss is being blah blah, how do I deal with this grief? Should I take this job? How do I ask for more money, etc., etc.? It's really a cheesy word to use, but it's really a very powerful global sisterhood.
It is. Well, congratulations on that, and cheers for that program. Like I really like people that are like you, changing what we have. So, but before we close, give me another one, because we're gonna stay here. It's just gonna stop recording, because I want to hear the rest of the stories.
Okay, such as?
No, later. I'll ask
drama.
you later. Yeah, no, thank you for now. Senta, in this recording session, we're gonna continue later. It's inspiring, and yeah. So the best for the future with
Thank you so much.
Seed, Beat, and go ahead.
Thank you so much. I love that you do this, and that you bring people together in this way and get us to re-experience a can in the cold. So lucky talking to you.
Nice to meet you.
Todos los derechos reservados y todos los torcidos depravados. El Martínez.
So the outro, we're gonna do it in English because, after all those rosés, I started speaking like a great English speaker, and French, and also Russian at the end with some of the podcasts that I had. Sorry for my non-proper English. So, s'il vous plaît, relève-je te parle para que te trosti la pen. See you later, alligator.
Este episodio fue mezclado y musicalizado por el gran Ahmed Cosío en Ciudad de México.
Locución de la voz, Marley Figueroa desde LA.
Investigación y booking, Natalia Visione desde Buenos Aires. Escrito por Sebastián Arrechedera. Dirección de arte y redacción, Ángela Forti. Desde Madrid. Una producción colaborativa de Rainbow Lobster. El Martínez, un podcast bar improvisadamente meticuloso.